Well, good evening to all our ACDP family. I'm speaking to you from Cape Town, and our president and DP are, as you've heard, experiencing technical issues. So let's start as per normal, just welcoming everyone to this wonderful live stream where you'll be provided with a lot of useful information. And please, as per normal, add your comments, greet the president, greet the DP, and myself, Steve, in Cape Town. And we'd love to hear from you to see who is online with the news and the exciting news that we'd like to share with you tonight. So thank you for being patient. Apologies for these technical glitches that come in. And thank you for the one comment already that let's pray for connectivity, and let's pray that our president and DP will join us soon. Thank you, Palesa, Dumalang, Sambonani, Moweni, assisting me in that regard indeed. ACDP leaders and family. Good evening to you all. Goeienaand aan julle almal. Julle is almal baie welkom vanaand en baie dankie dat jy ingeskakel het vir hierdie opwindende nuus wat ons met julle gaan deel. Thank you, Jody, Heradin. Good evening to all the leaders. Thank you for your comment, Jodine. It is much appreciated. Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking time to join us tonight and for spreading the good news of the ACDP. Thank you, Melissa Azaya. Greetings to our Honorable President, Women of Destiny President, DP and ACDP family. We are so privileged to have God-fearing, integral leaders who hate dishonest gain. Yes, indeed. We are very blessed for such leadership at all levels, with our president setting the example. And indeed, thank you for quoting that scripture from the wonderful Exodus 18, verse 21. Kaz van der Bijl, Meth, we appreciate you always being online. We keep you in our prayers. And thank you always for joining us. Thank you for your comment. Good evening, President Meshwe, Honorable Deputy President Wayne Tring, and my ACDP family. Warm greetings from the Meth family in Port Shepstone. Looking forward to a positive engagement with our leadership. Thank you so much, Kaz. Always so faithful, so always joining us. We really appreciate that. Good evening. Thank you, Councillor Ronald Harris, an NEC member. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your comment. Good evening, Mr. President, Mawonke DP, and the entire ACDP family. May tonight be as insightful and blessed as usual. Yes, indeed. We thank you for your prayers. And we thank you for, as you watch and as you learn with the information that you share, that you'll be able to commit it to prayer and, of course, share it with your friends and share it with your colleagues about the good news of the ACDP and what you are doing at different levels. Thank you, Lysander Dobson. Good evening, Mr. President, DP Steve, ACDP leaders and family. Thank you so much for your warm greeting, Lysander. It's so good to hear from you as well. Thank you for the comment from our dear Councillor Regine Dees. Good evening, ACDP family. It would be good to have Councillor Dees sing for us again after your wonderful singing voice, and of course, representing us in Parliament, where you represented the Women of Destiny so well. Erica Southey, good evening, MP Swart. Thank you, Erica. Thank you for your prayers earlier for connectivity, and it is good to be joining you at this stage. And of course, dearest Jeanette Hoos, thank you all for your warm greeting. Good evening all. So with those warm comments, let me go across, and we have now our president and DP are on board. The third pilot, you've got the pilot, the co-pilot. I must be the navigator, President. So it's been an honor. Welcome everyone and comment on all the comments. But I hand back to you, to the pilot and co-pilot. Thank you.
Navigator and instrument technician with the technical problem, Steve. You've been working in the background. Thank you. So we appreciate you coming through and filling in. Much thanks. We've had a technical glitch here. So the president says I'm the co-pilot and Steve helping to facilitate prayer. Thank you to all those who have been praying so that we're able to get back and get through this particular glitch. President, back to you, sir.
Okay, should I say my greetings again because they never heard my greetings? So, good evening one more time for those who heard our greetings. So good to have you with us tonight, and we apologize for starting our program tonight with these glitches. You know, you don't plan to do what happened. They just happened when the computers and technical machines decide to go on strike. They don't give you notice. They don't inform you so that you make a plan, you know. They don't inform you, unfortunately. But so good to have you with us. Okay, now let's hear from you, or maybe the co-pilot must also say his greetings before.
Well, I'm not sure if you also heard my greetings, but we were firing away on all cylinders right at the start, not knowing that we had been disconnected. And so again, greetings to each and every one of you. Good evening, Goeienaand, Dumelang, Sanbonani. So glad to be with you. And we have another power-packed, lined-up program for each one of you. Get your friend, get your neighbor, grab a cup of coffee, cup of Milo, tea, whatever makes you comfortable. Because remember that South Africa needs the ACDP and the ACDP needs you.
Well, thank you so much. The Lord bless you. The Lord bless you. We have not heard much from them, but tonight, look at this book. We want to share a few things from this book and canvass your opinions. And the reason I say that is because in the Star newspaper, today's Star newspaper, one of the front articles was about a confrontation between the organization called Dudula, and this Dudula was expressing their distaste and unhappiness with what our foreign nationals are in our country, doing in our country. Now they say, Dudula say, no foreigners will dictate our health care. Now, while we agree with them, I want you to know that this is a government-created problem. Government will be quick to defend themselves, but this is a government-created problem. Now, we know that there are times when they cause problems, create problems, and then be seen to be solving the problems they created themselves. It's like when you look at what's happening on our roads now, they are busy tarring, cleaning, making corrections. You know, they're very busy in Gauteng. I don't know whether they're doing the same thing in KZN. You know?
It's BRICS, President, in Gauteng.
Oh, it's because of BRICS, yeah. So the issue of healthcare, access to healthcare, is causing problems. Because of the Constitution, I'll tell you why. You have these undocumented foreign nationals that go to clinics and hospitals claiming that they have constitutional right to be there, to access healthcare. And the fact is they are correct. They have a constitutional right. Now, the Constitution of South Africa, the interesting thing, let me read something from about political rights. Under the Bill of Rights, they say every citizen is free to make political choices, which include to form your political party and so on. Okay? Every citizen. Now, I paged through the Bill of Rights, and it is so far the only place where I see these rights being limited to citizens. That is section 19. Okay? Then from then on, if you go to section 21, for example, is about freedom of movement and residence. Everyone has the right to freedom of movement. You go to environment, it says, Section 24, everyone has the right to an environment that is not harmful to their health. Okay? Go back, you go to freedom and security of the person. Everyone has the right. Okay? Freedom of religion, everyone. Freedom of expression, everyone. Now, you come to access to healthcare, everyone. Now, ask yourself a question. How many countries in the world can afford that? That everyone in the country has the right to access free services. I've not been to all the countries in the world, but all those that I have been to, there are limitations to rights that are given to foreign nationals. I know America, you want to go to hospital, you are sick, you want to go to a clinic, you pay. UK, you pay. Africa, you pay. All over. But South Africa, I think they thought that they were Father Christmas who was going to dish out everything free of charge to them. Now, the question is, what must be done? Because you now have these foreign nationals now clashing with South Africans. And I really, really hope that before there is physical confrontation, that government will do something. Before there is physical confrontation. Because some of the people who go there have real needs. Some of them are carrying babies. And South Africans are denying them access to those health facilities. Government can moan and complain. This is a problem that they have created. So what will the ACDP do? ACDP, we are going to be loud in calling for constitutional amendments. All these rights that we are reading about, as with political rights, they say every citizen. So healthcare, they have to say every citizen. Education, they have to say every citizen. Because if you say anyone, everyone, people can come and visit. Actually, what's happening right now is that people come to South Africa to give birth from Zimbabwe, from foreign neighboring countries. And after giving birth, they go back. When it's time for social grants, what do? They come back to South Africa. They are not resident in South Africa, but they are enjoying all these rights that no other country on the African continent is giving, as far as I know. No other country on the African continent. So there are rights that should be given to everyone, but there are some rights that should be given to citizens. Citizens and visitors should not be treated equally. It is not fair. So ACDP wants to see amendments so that citizens are given preference and honor. But secondly, which is one of the reasons why the ACDP is the only political party in South Africa that voted against the current constitution. We argued that human rights must be balanced with responsibilities. You cannot just have rights and you're not responsible for anything. So rights and responsibilities have to be balance. And this is what we want to suggest and what we want to do and demand. Otherwise, the problems of foreign nationals being treated unfairly when they try to access what the South African Constitution promises them. As I said, I hope that we are not going to have a physical confrontation. So, my co-pilot.
Yes, sir.
What do you think has to be done? And our people, if they agree with us, they must tell us. Because we definitely, I'm convinced we have to take this matter up and defend the rights and fight for the rights of citizens.
President, I couldn't agree with you more. So before answering your question, I was out in the field over the weekend visiting one of our provinces and met with a doctor, or rather a pharmacist who works at one of our public hospitals. And he shared with me, and he basically said that some 40% of the medication at the hospital that he works at, 40% of the medication goes to foreign nationals. And at times, it's even up to 60%. So when he said that, a thought crossed my mind is, what is the value of the amount of money that can be added to that 40% or that 60% in that one hospital? And then you multiply that across government hospitals throughout South Africa. And then you look at what is the public hospitals receiving from the national fiscus in order to provide service, healthcare to South African citizens. And what is that particular financial burden on the fiscus of South African citizens? President, it got my mind ticking, and the financial challenge that South Africa is facing with regards to our huge debt to GDP of some 77%, unemployment crisis that we're facing in South Africa. We have a Gini coefficient of the gap between those who have and those who don't have is widening over the last 30 years. So we have all of these challenges, and yet we want to function under the current government as if South Africa is one of the wealthiest nations on the planet. Clearly, something is wrong.
Yeah.
Now, a bus, President, en route to Zimbabwe was stopped by the border authorities. When they searched the bus, it was full of medication, South Africa labeled medication that comes from our clinics, medication that comes from our hospitals en route to Zimbabwe. And so this could be happening, other neighboring countries as well. And so the situation is clearly going out of control.
Yeah.
So what must we do, sir? We have to amend the Constitution. We have to amend the Constitution so that we do not put at risk South African citizens. This does not mean that the ACDP is xenophobic, but it does mean that South Africa, as the ACDP, we place South African citizens, like the rest of the world does, they place their citizens first.
You know, a number of people, particularly politicians, have complained and are complaining about what Donald Trump is doing. All right? Now, when Donald Trump says America first, he's saying the right thing.
Sure.
We should also be saying South African first. Okay? Before I can think of my neighbor's children, I must take care of my own children.
Yeah.
Okay? You have men who have girlfriends all over. They feed their girlfriends, give them whatever they want, and neglecting their own wives and children at home. It's the same scenario.
Absolutely.
Okay? It's the same scenario. So we must know if you, ACDP member, supports socialism, socialism does not work.
Yeah.
Okay, our economy is destroyed in South Africa because of socialism. The little pie we have is shared among more members. Rather than increase the size of the pie, we want to make smaller slices and give everybody. Everybody come and get mahala, free, come and get. Then we destroy the economy. So the issue of constitutional amendment has to happen.
Yeah.
As long as we have the ANC and the GNU in office, we are going nowhere as a country. That is why we have to work hard. The next elections, ladies and gentlemen, things have to change. Voting patterns have to change.
Yeah.
Even those who did not want to hear us when we said, hey, ANC is dangerous, ANC is destroying the country, they have seen for themselves. All right? So we want change. That is why we are saying, let's all work a little hard. Much more. Every one of us. To make sure that the HCDP get a bigger slice. Okay, now, DP just came from a conference, a BRICS conference. And I just want him to share with us, is there anything that HCDP can learn from that, from the BRICS conference? What is happening? Can the BRICS nation help South Africa? And the fact is that America is pulling out. We have about 600 companies, American companies in the country. One after the other, they are pulling out of the country. How many BRICS countries are investing in South Africa, bringing companies and firms in South Africa? We don't see that. Okay, so what are we going to do? Why is the South African government prepared to destroy the country because of Russia, China, and Iran? What has Iran invested in South Africa? And yet they're close friends.
Well, President, that's precisely on the sidelines a discussion that I had with one of the participants. I can't recall where he was from, but he was from the Competition Commission and an advocate. And we said that we were talking about the fact that now that we have these 30% tariffs introduced by the USA on South Africa and other countries facing similar tariffs as well, we have partnerships, for example, with BRICS. We have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, the AFCFTA. And so these particular instruments ought to have been able to kick in to assist the economy of the country. But sadly, we are not seeing that. And it speaks to the importance of the friendship or the relationship, the business, the partnership that we had with the USA. And when that happens, if we don't have any form of divesting our economy, South Africa is in trouble. Bearing in mind that during the COVID period, we lost some 2.3 million jobs. 2.1 to 2.3 million jobs lost. We have not recovered those jobs. Unemployment is sitting at some 40%. So very clearly, South Africa has been scoring some own goals. I like what the Deputy Minister Godlimpi said. He says, we need to be able to define what it means to be South African. And I think he was trying to get to the point of we need to be proudly South African. But being proudly South African also means you've got to have legislation that supports you. You can't have legislation that is working against you and legislation that is working against business. And so one of the things that he also said is that the current government, GNU, is married to transformation. But we need to look at the instruments. But I think it's an ideological position, President. The ideological position married to transformation, even if that transformation, your ideological transformation, is destroying the country, if your ideological transformation position is chasing away business, if your ideological transformation ideology is crowding out even small business, then those particular ideologies need to change. One of the other things that he said, however, is that business in South Africa needs to look at, listen to small businesses like your spaza shops, because South Africa, on the global scale of things, when compared to other countries, is like a spaza shop when compared to other economies. And so we want the other economies to partner with us, to invest in South Africa. And he was saying to the businesses, the private sector that was there, in the same way, and to government, we need to be able to listen to small business. And so to a large extent, the focus today was on the Competition Commission, and how can we look at competition improving the lives of economies. And in particular, I think I really loved what one of the panelists, Ntabi Singh, actually said about growing small business and streamlining regulations where, government, one of the things she said, government says, we want to create 1 million jobs in 10 years. 1 million jobs in 10 years. But every year we have 1 million new entrants coming into the job market, unable to find work every year. And government says we want to create 1 million jobs in 10 years. So the whole strategy, and I think that it is encouraging when we sit with minds that come from different countries, some brilliant minds. A young man from South Africa who was an AI specialist, who comes from Standard Bank, now working also for government, just in terms of how can we synchronize business with artificial intelligence so that we keep ahead of the curve. And so there's a brilliant networking of minds to try to get the South African economy back on track. And I think everybody that was there wants South Africa to work. Our regulatory environment, however, is problematic. So, President, an interesting first day. We have another 2 days. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stay for all 2 days because of activities at Parliament, but a very interesting day indeed at the BRICS conference, focusing today on competition.
Okay, sir, thank you for that report back. Thank you very much. And Brother Honorable Steve has been quiet after doing so well in the beginning of the program. And we want to know, sir, what is the latest regarding the Madlanga Commission?
Thank you. Yes, indeed, President. Thank you. And thank you, DP, for that briefing as well about BRICS. So just the latest on the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry is that it is set to begin on the 17th of September. Now, President, you'll remember that this is to probe these very serious allegations of corruption and criminal activity in the ranks of law enforcement and intelligence structures. And it followed the shocking revelations by the KZN Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, and he'll be the first witness, we understand. So you will recall that he made those revelations about the criminal syndicates, including even drug cartels, infiltrating our law enforcement and criminal justice system. And he even made mention of the now suspended police minister, Senzo Mchunu, being involved in political interference in the police. Now, in addition to the beginning on the 17th of September with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, the Commission has also activated a confidential whistleblower hotline to receive reports confidentially from the public. President, you'll remember that we were concerned about witness protection. So this is one way that members of the public can give information to the Commission. And if you Google the Madlanga Commission, you will find that hotline number. But it's also very important to note that, as was mentioned in a media briefing yesterday, that the findings of the Commission are not binding on the President. He has the right to implement them or not. And this is where the second issue comes in, and that is the ad hoc committee of Parliament is also going to start sitting, and it will start sitting a week later, that is the 22nd of September. And there's been a bit of to and fro in between Parliament's ad hoc committee and the judicial judge-run Madlanga Commission as to who should have the first evidence from General Mkhwanazi, and it now appears that General Mkhwanazi will be appearing before the judicial inquiry. So it's also quite interesting, President, that one of my concerns with previous commissions, you'll remember when I was involved in the Eskom parliamentary inquiry, was that a lot of the investigations against Eskom involvement of corruption, and of course the Guptas, it was all held over, pending the outcome of the Commission of Inquiry. In this case, the Judge Madlanga has made it very clear that there'll be no interference or disruption in the work of the SAPS, and I think this is very good. There's no Commission of Inquiry has finished its work, and there's too much work to be done. And of course, we are concerned about the allegations in crime intelligence. That is obviously supposed to be at the forefront of fighting crime. As you know, President, you've served on the Police Portfolio Committee for so many years. You're probably the most experienced member on that committee. So you all know the important role that crime intelligence plays. So, President, that's the update of where we are now. The police will and must continue their work, but I do think that this will be helpful to uncover the infiltration of criminal syndicates in law enforcement, in crime intelligence, to ensure that our communities are made a lot safer, given the fact of the scourge of crime that we have in our communities.
Thank you, Steve. Crime in this country is really shocking. Actually, it's getting to a level where it's more than shocking. You know, things that are not happening in other countries are happening in our country. And one of the most painful ones is the rape of children. Some few days old, some few weeks. And what is even more shocking is that they are being violated by those who should be protecting them, by fathers and uncles. And some of us believe it is because the morality and the values in this country have been under severe attack. And until we restore the morality of the country, and ACDP must not shy away from talking about moral issues, because some of these people want us to stop talking about them. And when we do that, the family suffers. Families are suffering. When families collapse, then the nation is definitely also going to suffer the consequences. But now, one of the things that has come up that our young people have requested that we bring to the attention of our viewers is the amendment to the regulations that would force students who are unable to pay their loans to be blacklisted. Credit Control Act obviously does not include that, but there are those, actually the Department of Trade and Industry that has made proposals, the minister that has made proposals that even students who cannot pay back their debts should be blacklisted. Now, ACDP has to reject that. It is wrong. It is unfair. How can students who cannot find jobs pay back what they owe? Because that jobs are not available even for graduates.
True.
They're not available.
True.
So how do you punish people who used loans, government loans, to get the education, hoping that after the education they will get good jobs and repay the loan? But now, Trade and Industry Minister says, no, they must be blacklisted if they cannot pay. We want to hear your opinion. You can hear my opinion, and DP, they also have to hear your opinion.
Sure.
Okay? Yeah. What are we saying? Should we allow students to be blacklisted when they cannot find jobs? Where is fairness in that whole thing?
Well, President, I think you and I raised this matter just a day or so ago, where we noticed that on the news and obviously from the committee side that the Minister Parks Tau has this intention of amending the regulations to allow for those particular students who have taken loans, who are unable to service those particular loans, to be handed over to your credit bureaus and essentially blacklisted. And then our ACDP Student Foundation also picked up the baton and are running with this particular matter because they realize the difficult position that millions of students in South Africa are actually in, bearing in mind that our youth unemployment in South Africa sits at close on to 60%. And as I indicated, we have some almost 1 million job entrants coming into the economy almost every year, many of them unable to find work. And so very clearly, there have to be other instruments, not the blacklisting, but other instruments that must be made, must be found in order to attempt to recoup those funds. I think from a principal point, we are saying from a principal point that where loans are taken, loans need to be repaid. But you cannot, if a person is unemployed, if the person does not have the means to repay that loan, that particular student cannot and should not be blacklisted because it is a barrier to their progress. If they are blacklisted, it then prevents them from finding work. It prevents them from moving up the ladder, and essentially will keep them impoverished possibly for the rest of their lives, because they are unable to remove that particular blight on their characters. So yes, we do not agree with the blacklisting, and we are saying as the ACDP that other instruments need to be found by government and by those institutions where those loans have been taken.
Yeah. Maybe Steve has to come back. Honorable Steve, I know that your parents did not pay for your legal studies. You got a loan. How did you pay back? Now, obviously, these are ideas. That's one of the ideas that can be implemented.
Sure.
That when a person has used a loan to complete their studies, then they start working either for government or for the one who provided the loan. All right? But Steve, let's hear from you how you did it in your time.
Yes, President. Many years ago, and I think it might be still applicable, you would get bursaries from the various departments. I'm not sure whether one still gets teacher bursaries, Department of Justice bursaries. I got a Department of Justice bursary that paid for my studies, and then you worked for the department after you'd completed your studies. And I think that has been the case for many years. But the problem is, of course, that your graduates there isn't work for them. And I think this is the problem, and that needs to be reintroduced somehow, because it's very unfair for young students that then have managed to obtain loans and have completed their studies successfully, that they can't find jobs and now have to be blacklisted because they can't repay their loans. So I think we need to show a lot of sympathy for that and try to find ways that departments offer bursaries which ensure employment once they complete their studies successfully.
One of the things we are considering to do as the ACDP is to push for the gradual moving away from the tendering system. I forgot to check. In a passage here in Parliament, in a building, there's been that hole. Did you check the system there?
I haven't seen, but I've seen the hole. I'm not sure if it's closed.
Okay, for more than a year, it has been there. I'm sure they're looking for somebody to tender, to win the tender, to come and fix that little thing. I mean, it does not make sense. You know, when we grew up, if a traffic light would go wrong or break down, within hours, it is fixed. Because every municipality has its own plumbers, its own electricians. They had in-house people who do what needed to be done, rather than wait for a year to find the right person, a tender that would win the job, the right to fix, you know. So I think we need to move away from this thing. Is wasting money, is wasting time. I understand that obviously with more delicate jobs, you need specialties and more jobs that cost hundreds of thousands or billions of rands. You cannot just appoint a person and you cannot have a person in-house. That I understand. But there has to be a limit. You cannot, because you have run out of pens. You cannot even go to Pick n Pay or Checker to get ball pens or something to write because you ran out of them. What you had was provided through a tendering system. So now you have another tender for somebody to provide with pens. So I think we need to revisit it.
President, this was one of the topics that was raised also within the BRICS conference that I attended today. And that is procurement regulations, where you have individuals working for government who add on. So because of the corruption within the system, if you are tendering and I'm the government official, I would say to you, this tender is worth 100 million, but you can put it in for 200 million. And then we will split the other 100 million. You can take 50 and I'll take 50. So as a government employee, that means that I haven't done any work, but because I'm in a position of authority in terms of procurement, I'm able to inflate the value of the work that is being done. It is known, it was mentioned in the BRICS conference, and the particular presenter said government knows that this is happening and government must put a stop to it. And the call was lock them up because it's costing South Africa billions of rands, where a few individuals, because they are corrupt, because they are engaging in fraudulent activities, is depriving basic service delivery in terms of water, in terms of electricity, in terms of just ordinary service delivery that should be coming to South Africans because of these corrupt individuals within the tender and the procurement system. So it was mentioned, and it is known that it is corrupt. Our systems are corrupt, and that has to be addressed. And so, President, this is why, again, the ACDP has to become the government of the day. Righteous men, righteous women, men and women of God who hate dishonest gain,
Right.
overseeing the fiscus to ensure that service delivery comes to the children of God.
Ladies and gentlemen, you hear it, you see it, you read about it, and this can come to an end. If you have righteous men and women who hate dishonest gain, being in charge of the fiscus, if that be the case, money will be used for what it was intended for from the beginning. But now, because of corruption, particularly with this government, it will be very difficult. If they say put them away, you arrest them. If you arrest one, hundreds are there. They're left. They won't be touched, because they also are living from this kind of corruption. They are living from it. They are benefiting from it. That's why they are not doing enough to get rid of them, to get rid of the corrupt. South African government is known for its leniency. Leniency. They don't want to punish. And we believe that criminals must be punished. Criminals must be punished. There is a word that many politicians don't want to talk about. They don't like it in our statements, and that is fear. You need to bring fear to the criminals.
Yeah.
If criminals don't fear the arm of the law, look what's happening on the roads with the taxis.
Hey.
They don't care. Okay? No fear of punishment. If there was fear of punishment, I assure you, crime would go down, corruption would go down, but they know they're going to get away with it, which is a problem. So I wish and I pray that as we are requesting and also planting a seed in the minds of our people, that we need a new government. We need a godly government. We need a government of men and women who are able, who have the knowledge of doing what needs to be done, but at the same time, men and women who fear God. Because if you have leaders who don't fear God, you will have what you're having in South Africa. We have many very, very educated people, but the problem, corruption. Like our president. Our president is a smart guy. Hey, the other day he liked it when I said he's a smart guy. Okay, he is smart. Okay, he is smart, but there is a weakness of liking things that don't belong to him, benefiting from things that he did not get legally, unfortunately. Some people will ask, what are you saying about the president? What about if they're listening? What would you say is the proof? What did he take? I would say $4 million that were in his sofa. Okay, that's an example that the president himself has that weakness. And that's why we need new leadership of men and women who fear God, men and women who are able, so that South Africa can move forward. South Africa was created to be a leader among nations of the world. Do you know that South Africa can be the bread basket of this continent? One more time.
Yeah.
Zimbabwe was, until this issue of race started coming in. Now, obviously, as we are going towards the end of our program today, we want to say to our people, let's get over the habit, among others, of treating one another according to the color of our skin. Yeah. We need each other. We need each other. If you look at a piano or an organ or a keyboard, do you know that if you can say, we come from the past where white people were oppressing us, apartheid government was oppressing us. So here is a piano. Let's take out all the white keys. All the white keys, throw them out, remain with black keys. You know, in some of our meetings, ACDP meetings, I have challenged when I heard that there were tensions between blacks and whites. I have challenged people in the audience who are musical. And I would ask a person who's musical, please come and play something for me. And then some would come confidently, you know, they're professionals. I said, please, can you please play How Great Thou Art with A minus key? They look at me, they say, impossible. I said, but you are a professional. There is the piano. No, you can't do that. If I say, okay, play it for me without telling you how to do it, what do you do? He said, I use all the keys.
Yeah.
If you use all the keys, you get sweet melody, beautiful music. But
Black
if you say, I am black, I don't want white keys, you are in trouble. Okay? So South Africa needs each other. Black and white, we need each other.
Yeah.
And together, working together, trusting one another, loving one another, taking care of one another, South Africa can become the most beautiful country on the African continent.
Absolutely. President, I used that analogy as well when I heard you share it, of how important it is in South Africa. We speak about, you know, harmony amongst the races. And South Africa is a beautiful country.
Beautiful.
There are many people who have left and have come back because they love this particular nation of all different race groups. And it is our responsibility to make it work. And we appeal to you again to help us, to join with us, to make this country the nation that God has ordained for South Africa to be. It is possible because with the God that we serve, there is nothing that is impossible. So again, I appeal to you to join us because South Africa needs the ACDP and we need you. So join us as we build this country to the glory of our God.
Well, the Lord be praised. By His grace, His will is going to be done in South Africa. That which He ordained is going to manifest. When South Africa becomes a beautiful, healed, reconciled group of people to form one nation under God, nation that will work together to make South Africa the most peaceful, prosperous nation under heaven. Well, the Lord bless you from my side. I say thank you for joining us tonight. The Lord bless you and have a beautiful evening. I trust that Bafana has done well. What's the score before the match over? 1-1. Okay, my technical man is saying 1-1. Full time. Okay, no, it's not so bad. We wanted the win, we didn't get it, but 1-1 is better. All right, the Lord bless you. Sleep well tonight.
Thank you. God bless you. And thank you for your patience with some of our technical challenges. Good night until next week.